Welcome to another exciting episode of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paper Guy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
Mr. Magazine, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How do you figure out what the best product mix is for each site and what goes on which site and why?
Well, that takes years of learning, practicing, testing the waters out on every platform. We've gone back and forth before because obviously we just had eBay. We started putting a lot of eggs into magazines, listing magazines, and we're one of the top magazine sellers. Then after a while, we started putting them on Amazon, and they started selling there. Before you know it, a few years later, we're selling more magazines on Amazon than we are on eBay. So, but you live and learn. Obviously, certain things, unique items, specialty items, we always go on eBay. The more competitive things go on Amazon, but try to do trending stuff. We do a lot of toys, comic books, record albums, things like that, Hess trucks, seasonal things. Amazon's really good for that, but you learn as you go, So that's my take on it.
Now, when you're buying a collection, do you break it down in your head as you're buying it? Oh, that stuff is perfect for that site. That stuff is perfect for that site, or how do you do that?
Absolutely, especially if someone comes in with a toy mix, and say they had action figures, they have loose figures, and then they have Hess trucks. Well, obviously, the loose figures are going on eBay because it's very hard to sell them on Amazon. Everyone wants new stuff there. The carded figures, unopened figures would go on Amazon, and the Hess trucks would obviously go on Amazon. But again, it's one of those things where I'm going to pay, if I have to pay a little more, I may pay a little more because it'll sell for a little more on Amazon, like the Hess trucks. If you base it off eBay and they go for $6 to $10, most people aren't going to sell them for $3. But if you can buy them for $5, $6, $7, you can put them on Amazon, but they may sell for 15 to 20.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I'll come in my eBay offer. I used to just come in with the eBay offer, but sometimes people want more than that, and I will stretch it a little more if I feel I can get more on Amazon at some point or during Christmas season.
Well, the reason is I was thinking about this over here as a topic is people have asked before, and I'm certainly not a guru by any means whatsoever over on Etsy, but I sell enough stuff. I make some money on Etsy over there, and there are times when I'll be doing an auction on whatnot, and I'll say, hey, this is perfect for it, and I'll drop the site that you should be selling it on if you are a reseller and you're buying it from me, whether it be eBay, whether it be Etsy, whether it be Amazon. Right. And it's just one of those, I've sold this kind of item over there before, or I know that this kind of item sells over there. Yeah. I think the only real fly in the ointment, as it were, is with Amazon, especially if you're in the book category, with the number of things that they're gating. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times, of course, you see a book and you say, and that's something rather you got to be careful about as well when you're out sourcing, because if you just do the quick search on your phone, you'll look and you say, oh, this is a $20 book on Amazon, I can pick it up for 50 cents. Then you get home and you find out it's a $20 book because only 3 people are allowed to list it. Right. And you try to list it and you're not allowed to because it's gated.
Sure.
And then it's a $5 book on eBay or a $3 book on eBay, and you ended up, it's a little tough to sell as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is one of those things over time, and I'm definitely finding it now that I'm selling a lot more stuff on Whatnot. I'm definitely finding it when I'm out there. I've added that to my product mix as well, where I'm saying this is something other that I think will sell on Whatnot. This is something other that I think will sell on eBay, and so on. And I'm actually trying more things over on Whatnot that I would have in the past put over on eBay, mainly because eBay hasn't been particularly good lately. Yeah. And, if I'm going to list it, if I'm going to take time to list it and it's going to be sitting there for 6 months, a year, 2 years, it's got to be pretty good at this point for me to put it on eBay.
Yeah.
Just because the sales are so slow over there.
Well, even like comics, for example. Modern comics I would put on Amazon all day long. When you start getting into the older stuff, silver and bronze, well, you could put it on eBay and sell it quicker, but it's so competitive. There could be 30 of one issue, and maybe it goes for $7. Amazon, it might go for 25, and there's only 3 issues. It may sell in a year, 5 years, or never sell. So it's kind of a strategy. You're like, do I want to put on eBay and make a little bit at some point soon, or do I want to take my chance and maybe make a lot of money, or maybe make no money ever? So that's another strategy I guess you have to deal with.
Right. Well, and then I don't know how it is nowadays, but you get into the modern books as well. That's yet another area that on some of those they're gated over on Amazon. I don't know if you've run into that or not as well.
Bit, yeah.
You know, suddenly you get some book, and then of course you also have the issue, which there's never been any real explanation from Amazon exactly how it works, but where all of a sudden you get the potential trademark infringement because you use the word Marvel.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's
Hot Wheels, it could be Disney, Star Wars, anything. Yeah.
Well, it's an official Marvel comic book that they've put out. I mean,
Right.
and obviously they put it out. Marvel put it out, so it's licensed.
And there's only 10 million Marvel listings on Amazon.
But they happen to peg that one Daredevil because it has the word Marvel listed as the publisher. It's kind of crazy on that as well. But kind of wondering if you, when you're out there as well, if you've got various sites or if you buy it and you come home and you do the research. Now, I don't tend to do it that way too often. I don't know about you, but I don't tend to do the research to figure out where to list it. It's kind of in my head where I'm going to list it. Now, there are times where if all of a sudden, something really surprises me, like, oh, I thought this was better than that, I may bring it to a different site. But in general, 20 plus years of doing this, I've kind of honed my, my abilities to where I can kind of tell, this is.
Yeah.
Am I potentially leaving money on the table at times? Yeah, probably.
Right.
But you run into the same thing. If I pick up 50 items, do I really want to search all 50 for the best venue? Or do I want to go with my instincts and list them and get them listed?
Sure. And we have a system where if it's toys or comics and records and so forth, we're going to put them on Amazon. If they're on Amazon in their database, we're putting them on there first. And then if they're not, they go to eBay. So that's kind of our process.
Right. Yeah, so it's kind of, again, it's interesting, and it's interesting how certain things sell on certain sites but do not sell on others or do not sell well on others. Whether it's because less competition, it could be that.
Yeah.
You head over onto Etsy, and maybe I'm able to sell Life magazines on Etsy because maybe there aren't a lot of other people selling them or comic books over there.
Sure.
Because you're not running into the competition that you do on eBay. It could be that as well as part of it. And so there is some strategy involved in where you end up listing things at. I certainly think it's worth your time to look into it and look into multiple venues, because I think that unfortunately if you are sticking with one venue, and I don't care which venue it is, first and foremost you're at the mercy of that venue. If all of a sudden they make the change in the rules, they feel you broke their rules, they suddenly suspend you or something or other like that, that really, really will negatively impact you, obviously. And then number two is, if you're on a site and all of a sudden it slows down, but that's your only source of income.
No, jeez.
Yeah, and that definitely can happen as well. So hopefully that helped you a little bit there. Knowing where to list it is really as important, or almost as important, as knowing what to buy. Pretty much anything out there you can sell, just knowing which site is the best site to list it at. And again, you've got a lot of different factors. You've got what your competition's selling. You've got what it is, how many of them there are on the given site, and if the site's known for it. Obviously, not that you could do this, but you're not going to go on hit postcards and try to sell comic books. I mean, that wouldn't make a lot of sense as far as that goes. But perhaps over on Etsy, perhaps the Silver Age books might go, whereas there, as you were saying, there's a lot of competition on eBay for them. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. Hit the like button if you could, and we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.